Hi everyone, my name's Chris Croft and I've made you this video to talk about the use of Zoom and Skype. Obviously everyone's been using those a lot more recently, and I've got 8 ideas that you can use in order to be much more effective on Zoom and Skype. Now, these type of ideas are the things that I send out regularly as my free tip of the month. So if you like this kind of thing, please do subscribe to my tip of the month. There'll be a link below this video where you can click to get my tip of the month free forever, and it never repeats. So on to my 8 tips, and the first one is switch off all the other apps that are going on your computer. The last thing you want is things binging, and also the distraction of stuff coming up while you're trying to have a Skype conversation with somebody. It will also slow your computer down if you've got other things running, and a lot of computers seem to use most of their brain when they're trying to do a Skype call, so you don't want other things running at the same time. And the other thing is you might be a little bit tempted to check your emails while you're Skyping somebody when the meeting gets a bit boring, especially if there's a number of you in the meeting. But don't do that because they'll know that you're doing it. So switch everything else off before you do your Zoom or Skype call. My second point is to think about the lighting. So, is there sunlight coming in? Is it too bright or not bright enough? Are you just a silhouette? I've actually got a really bright light on the right hand side of me. In fact, I'm just going to pause the video and switch it off. You'll see the difference. So this is what I'm like without the bright light on my right hand side. I think I'm probably better with the light. You can be the judge of that. I'm going to switch it back on again now. So think about the lighting. You'll find when you first sign in, you'll be able to check both the sound and the vision before you join the meeting. So you can fiddle around with things and make sure you've got it the way that you like it. And of course, the light changes during the day. So if you set it up in the morning and then you have your call in the afternoon, you may look totally different. So that's my second tip. Think about the lighting. Now, my third tip is to think about the background. And I've deliberately got a non-ideal background to show you here because you can see I've got various strange objects. I've got some essential supplies in the background there. I think the books are probably quite good. I think the sheep on the wall is probably a bit on the weird side. I don't know whether you want to be able to look outside there. But the main thing is you don't want distracting things in the background. You don't want, an unmade bed or people going past, all that sort of thing. So think a bit about your background. Make sure it's professional. It's really, really important because while they're talking to you, they're going to be looking at the background as well. Probably more than half the time they'll be looking at the background. It's more interesting than listening to you some of the time. And remember that you only see it as a small thumbnail on your screen. So you probably think, oh, that looks fine. But they're probably seeing it on a great big screen. They can probably read the title of every single book that's behind you. So that's a little bit scary. Tip number 4 is to have the phone level with your face. The last thing you want is this. And you get a lot of people who do that. They have their laptop on their lap and you just look really fat and like you've got lots of chins, or they have it like this and they're going, okay, so the next thing. That's just awful, isn't it? So what you should do is raise it up. And I'm just going to rotate round now so that you can see my setup. So I've actually got my phone sitting on a box. I've got my phone sitting on there to record this. It's on a box that's on another box. And when I use a laptop, I have the laptop sitting on this box. So the laptop with its camera at the top is the same level as my eyes. So it is worth just thinking a little bit about what your setup's going to be for that. The next thing is to talk to the camera if you can. And it's very easy to talk to the picture of yourself. And if you talk to yourself, then you're actually probably not talking to the camera. So find out where the camera is on your phone and talk to that. And if you're using a laptop, then the best thing to do is to make the picture of yourself really small and move it to the top of the screen. Because then when you talk to that, I don't know whether you talk to yourself or whether you talk to the picture of the other person, but either way, have both of them really small up the top because your camera's probably just at the top of your laptop there. So then when you're talking to them, you're going to look as if you really are talking to them. You've probably noticed that most people talk to the middle of their screen, so then they look as if they're looking down below you, which is kind of not very polite in body language terms. So that's an important thing to think about. My next tip is that if you're in a group meeting, it's a good idea to mute your sound. because if everybody has their sound on, you get a lot of shuffling and coughing and just general scratchy little background noise. So ideally, everybody would mute their sound. But it does mean you have to remember to switch yourself on again every time you want to contribute. Now, my next tip is to maximize your body language, because when you're having a meeting over Zoom or Skype, there's much less body language than there normally would be. So it's very important to exaggerate what little body language there is. So this means lots of nodding and smiling. If somebody says something, particularly if it's a vaguely amusing comment, you should go like that, so that everybody knows that they can hear each other and that it's all okay. I personally think some thumbs up's a really good gesture. So if you agree with somebody, just keep going like that. Or if they ask for an opinion, you can go, So make sure there's plenty of body language interaction going on. The last thing you want when you're talking to a load of people in a Zoom meeting is they're all just sitting there deadpan. And just two more quick tips. And as I mentioned, if you like this sort of thing, you absolutely must subscribe to my tip of the month. There's a link below, and I'll be sending you free stuff forever. But my last two tips are that if you're going to have a longish Skype meeting, I would divide it into chunks of a maximum of half an hour, and then have a 10-minute tea break and then rejoin. I think free Zoom has a limit of 40 minutes anyway, so that actually works out really well because you can just do a new meeting. But however you're doing it with the technology, don't have a meeting of more than half an hour. Have a 10-minute tea break. People can walk around, refresh themselves, check their emails perhaps, and then rejoin. And my final thought is half an hour goes so quickly. So it's a really good idea to have an agenda for your Zoom meeting. Agree at the start, we're going to cover 5 things, so that's only 6 minutes per item. So let's crack on. So have an agenda and then say, right, that's item number 1 done. Let's go on to item number 2. And keep pushing on. And you can say, we're only on item number 2 and we're nearly out of time. We need to hurry up. But I think time is a valuable resource. It can really slip away. If you have half a dozen Zoom meetings in a day, it becomes a nightmare. So make sure they're really time efficient with an agenda. So that's my list of ideas. Hope it's been useful. Please do sign up for my monthly tip, my email tip of the month. It's free. They will arrive forever. They will never repeat. Just put your email address in the link down below. You'll be getting my tips. You can always unsubscribe if you don't like them, but people very rarely do unsubscribe. 20,000 people can't be wrong. So please join my little club and add yourself to my email tip of the month. Bye for now.